Okay, so let's talk about some particular areas of application for using this particular tool. One, what we just talked about, right? So anytime we are grappling with defining a construct, this would be a good technique to use. One of the things that it's particularly interesting to use for, and that is generating research, right? So if you're teaching a research class, and you're wanting people to think about what might be some new directions in which to take the research, sometimes beginning with a tool like this helps to kind of maybe identify some places where we tend to lack knowledge. For example, we might be able to understand it conceptually, and we might have a sense of what it is componentially, but when it comes to sort of defining it functionally, right, there may be a lack of knowledge there. And so that might be a good area in which to focus new research. Another important usage for this is engaging in literature reviews. Remember that at the top of this tool, talked about the fact that virtually anything that is on a given topic is likely to fit into one of these four constructs, which means that any literature that one might find on a given topic will sort into those four areas. And so it's a good way to actually begin to organize the literature on a given topic. Okay, so let's talk about the exercise that I'm going to now ask you to do in terms of working with this particular tool. Hopefully, as you sort of work through it, you'll get some inspiration for how you might use it with respect to the students in your classroom. But in this exercise, right, I'm going to ask you to choose a construct. Now, it's always going to be helpful if you choose a construct, at least until you get comfortable with the tool, if you choose a construct that you already know something about. Okay, so don't choose something for which you're unfamiliar, but choose a construct that you already know quite a bit about it, because that'll help you to see if you can't identify the pieces, right? So once you've chosen a familiar construct, right, then I want you to take an opportunity and to work through each of these four components to it. In other words, can you define that construct conceptually? In other words, what is it a type of? What is it a part of? Can you define it componentially? What are its types? What are its parts? Functionally, what's the purpose for it, right? And once again, by identifying what might be some antecedents, said another way, what might be some factors that cause it, and then what might be some consequences of it, right? So if antecedents is the cause, then consequences might be the effect, so to speak, right? So what might be some things, right, that your construct might impact? Okay, and then operationalization, right? How will you know it if you see it? So what are some indicators of it? What might be some measures of it? Usually for most psychological constructs, there are scales and metrics out there to measure it. And so you might sort of identify some of that. So once again, in the module, you should see a sheet that will allow you to work with your construct along these four dimensions. When you've completed it, please submit that. And I'll see you on the next slide.